Hola Unconventionals, I'm Amelia.
And I'm JP.
And we're sharing our unconventional life with you from Ecuador.
And today we're going to talk about our fears about living on the coast of Ecuador during a pandemic.
We post videos about the coronavirus situation here in Ecuador and what it's like to live here.
Yeah, so if you're thinking about moving here or visiting here once the travel ban is lifted, hit the subscribe button and ring the bell.
Ring the bell,
so
please.
You don't miss any of our future videos or our live streams.
And now we're going to talk about what scares us the most about living in a rural coastal pueblito during a pandemic.
Yeah, there are several things that kind of bother us about living here. We've only been here for about 3 months. And the first one is no easy access to medical care.
Yeah, that's a big one.
In Cuenca, we had access to doctors and hospitals, really state-of-the-art, high quality. Here we have a clinic, an urgent care clinic that really specializes in ocean injuries like stingrays and fishing hooks stuck in your finger and broken bones.
Yeah, we heard they're good at doing stitches, but there's no regular medical care here. There's a local doctor, but pretty much everyone goes to La Libertad, or they end up going to Guayaquil or Cuenca, and all of that's off the table right now.
Yeah.
The closest hospital, I think, true hospital, is in Manta.
Yeah, it's about 2 hours north of here.
Right.
And Manabí, that's the province where Manta is located, has been hit really hard by the coronavirus too.
Right, and so right now we can't travel between provinces, so we're kind of stuck.
Yeah, and the clinic in Mangral Alto, we've been told, has 6 oxygen tanks and 6 beds in a dedicated room for COVID patients, but they don't have a regulator and respirator, not a regulator, a respirator.
Right. Although we don't know if that's still the case, but apparently there's a big lack of that here on the coast.
Yeah, and we do have some oxygen tanks here in Olón now in the Comuna building for people who need it, and some people have already needed it. The next fear on our list is food scarcity.
Yeah, we had a little bit of fear a couple weeks ago when all of the mercaditos were closed and there was no vegetable to be found in Olón.
Yeah, I was starting to get a little panicky.
JP did freak out a little bit.
I like my fruits and vegetables.
We never knew when they were going to open, and there would be long lines. Only one mercado would be open, and the lines were really long, and there wasn't a lot of variety. Fortunately, that has gotten much better, and things seem to be back to normal, but now it's in the back of our mind.
We've started growing some of our own because of that. It's definitely not going to be enough to sustain us, but we feel a little bit better at least having some of our own food growing.
Well, and the community really paid attention too, and now they're going to work on the Comuna garden. We should have an update for you all pretty soon about that project. But again, that's a long-term project. They said they should have some produce available in about 3 months.
Yeah, but certainly not enough to feed the 2,500 people who live here.
No. So the closest grocery store, true grocery store, is at Tia, and it takes about 35-40 minutes for us to walk there, and that's viable, but it's not viable for a lot of people because that services this whole area between Mangral Alto and La Entrada. We're lucky that we can walk because there aren't a lot of taxi. You can only drive 1 day a week right now. There's no bus services, so it's definitely been a concern.
Yeah, and our next concern is lack of cash.
Yes.
Because there's no ATM machine here in Olón. That's Tia. The one at Tia is as close as we get to our house, so we have to walk there to get cash.
Yes, and this is a cash society. There's no place, as far as I know, there's still no place in town that takes credit cards.
No, so if without cash, there's no food.
Yeah, and I've been seeing some reports from people posting on Facebook that Cuenca's been having some issue with their ATMs not having a lot of money or not dispensing as much money. There's not much we can do about it. Somebody robbed the one and only ATM here in Olón. So we have no choice but to go into Montanita.
Yeah, so Banco Pacifico removed it.
Yes.
So after it was robbed, it was removed. Unfortunately, we've also heard that some of the ATMs in Montanita have been running out of cash, and the Western Union, some of the people that are from Ecuador who still have family here send money via Western Union to their family here, and Western Union has not been open reliably, and they haven't had a lot of cash when they are open.
Right.
So a lot of people, the Ecuadorians who live here and depend on their families abroad for money, aren't able to get money. So that's another reason why we've been hosting our fundraiser, and I'll put a link to the video, our fundraiser video up there, to try and help feed some of these people during the quarantine.
Our next fear is isolation. I didn't feel like we were isolated when there were a whole bunch of tourists here, but now that this has happened and we're locked down, it's a lot more rural, I guess, than I realized, and we're pretty far away from any major services and any government support.
Yeah, we basically live in the country. It just happens to border an ocean. So we are a long ways from any of the modern conveniences and the bigger cities. The closest city is an hour south of here in La Libertad. And we don't have a lot of those services that they have here. And we don't have easy access to it because of the lack of taxis and the driving restrictions.
Right. Fortunately, it hasn't been much of an issue, but if this goes on much longer, it may be an issue. It is a concern. It's a lot different than Cuenca for sure, especially since I grew up in the city.
Yeah.
Like, this
She's
is
a
different.
city girl. I grew up in the country where it took 20 minutes to drive anywhere. So I'm used to it, but it's still a little bit unnerving to be in South America, in a developing country, in the country, during a pandemic.
Yes, agreed.
Yeah, and that kind of leads us into our next one, which is we can't leave. There's no interprovincial travel. You have to have a special permit. If you do manage to get on an airplane flight back to the States or wherever your home country is, it's just not easy to leave here, the province, or the country.
Right. I have to admit, I've been feeling a little restless. We want to travel and visit our friends and live our lives like everybody else does, right? We all want things to go back to normal. And I'm beginning to worry that that's going to be months before that happens. And it's a little bit, I don't know, Groundhog Day.
Yeah, it's very much like Groundhog Day. Every day is the same. And
but at least we're warm.
We are warm, and the weather's been beautiful. It's really unfortunate. The last 2 months have been so beautiful, and we haven't been able to go to the ocean to enjoy the sun and the blue skies and the beautiful waves.
Yeah, that is
really
a bummer.
wants to get out there and surf.
I
If you
do.
missed her surfing video, I'll link that up there so you can go check out her learning how to surf right before the quarantine.
I know, that seems like a dream now.
It seems like a lifetime ago, and yesterday at the same time
Yeah,
somehow.
it's so weird.
Yeah. So another thing that we're a little bit concerned about as the quarantine drags on is becoming a target, as gringos are perceived to be wealthy, even though we're not,
No.
at least not by American standards. It could be a little unnerving to be considered a target by people who are struggling to put food in their children's mouths. It's a little bit unnerving.
Yeah, we haven't heard any sort of crime issues here, and I've heard in general crime is down thanks to the curfew. But we are also doing this fundraiser and posting how much money we're raising.
Yeah.
So this is another opportunity for us to remind everybody that money is
It's not
all
here.
in the cloud.
Yeah, it's all in accounts that it's not easy to get it out.
It's all online.
It's not here in the house. No
Yes.
tenemos dinero en la
Right.
casa.
And we're not the only ones doing these fundraisers. A lot of people are
Yeah.
out there doing fundraisers. So as long as we can keep accessing cash and providing food, I'm cautiously optimistic.
Yeah,
I'll just say that.
there are dozens of people who are doing fundraisers like we are. So it's not just us, thankfully, because they need a lot more help than we can
Yeah.
provide. But this is an ongoing problem. So if you are in a financial position to help continue feeding people here in this area, we would really appreciate it. The buttons for the donations are on our website, ameliaandjp.com, which I'll link in the description.
Yeah, and I think one of my biggest fears, JP, is that it's just going to take so long for things to come back to normal. I'm not worried about us. I'm worried about the people who live day to day and their lives are all based on tourism, and there's no tourism.
Yeah.
And like Shell said, it could take us, Shell from Villa de los Sueños, it could take a year for things to recuperate.
Yeah, Shell told us that after the earthquake in, 2016, I think
so.
That it took a year for them to see things return to normal. And an earthquake in a small region is a lot different than a pandemic that's worldwide. So we're expecting it to be at least a year and probably much longer before the tourism industry returns to any semblance of normalcy here in Ecuador. I think that's all we have for our fears. What are you guys afraid of right now? Let us know in the comments. We'd like to hear what you guys are worried about, and we can commiserate together.
Yeah, I have to admit, actually, saying it out loud makes me think, oh, it's not that bad.
Yeah.
Really, when you say it out loud, it kind of releases it all. So maybe typing it down in comments will make you all feel better.
Yeah. All right, guys, that's all we have for this one. If you enjoyed it, leave us a like, as always.
Yes, please.
We'll be having another live stream soon, so be sure to hit the subscribe so you don't miss the notification about that. And we will see you all in our next video.
Ciao.
Ciao.